Listen here. If you have not watched all of Kaguya-sama Love is War, and I mean all of it, all the way up to the most recent episodes, pretty much all of seasons 1 through 3, do not watch this video. That's one of the few times you're ever gonna hear me say to not watch this video, but in this case, I mean it. Because even though I'm gonna try my best to keep this as spoiler-free as possible, there's still gonna be at least one instance where I'm gonna spoil the hell out of this show. And this is one of those shows where you need to know absolutely nothing going into it. Not even a plot synopsis. You need just watch it, bro. Just watch it. Let my passion be enough in these first couple seconds and minutes of this review, be enough motivation to be like, go watch this show. It's not crazy long. It's 3 seasons of 12 episodes, and trust me, bro, it goes by like that, and you wish you could go back, but we can't. But yeah, there's your warning. We're gonna get into this now. Please watch this show. Don't watch anything. Don't listen to anybody. Just start watching it. Because that's how I experienced this show. Like, I've heard about Kaguya-sama Love is War. Like, and of course, I've seen, like, some meme images and everything, stuff out of context. That never told me what the show was about. You get all that you need to know about this show and what it's gonna be about within the first, like, 3 minutes of the first episode, before the opening even plays. The opening doesn't even play in the first episode, because that's usually how that works. But alas, I just sort of just jumped right into this. That's just because I need to talk about this show. If you were sticking around for my Data Live reactions, you'll know that I talked about the fact that I was watching Kaguya-sama Love is War. And I did talk about that I was going to do a review for this, and well, here we are. But again, I was waiting for season 3 to be finished, and well, it's finished, and holy shit. Again, I'm going to try my best to keep it as spoiler-free as possible. If I can't, put up a spoiler warning or whatever. As in typical fashion, my reviews are gonna be a little scatterbrained, a little like tangential. I'm gonna try to give it as streamlined as possible. But if we go off the cuff, then that's just part of it. Kaguya-sama Love is War. Right off the bat, I'm just gonna say it. This has become one of my new top 10s. If you watched my podcast with the boys in our 3x3, I definitely say Kaguya-sama holds a new place in that 3x3. I would honestly say I'd have it dethrone Shimonita, because that one's much more of a meme guilty pleasure and just, you know, what it means to me. But with this, it's like, let's talk about this. First of all, what is this show? Hopefully you took my spoiler warning to heart and you're not sticking around after this if you haven't watched it. For those of you who I hope have watched it and are willing to listen to me rant about it, here we go. Kaguya-sama Love is War. That title pretty much is exactly what this show is about. You follow the 2 students who are the president and vice president of the student council at Suchin. Okay, after watching 3 seasons, I still can't pronounce the name of the school. Suichin? Sure, that one. And the president, Miyuki Shirogane, and the vice president, Kaguya Shinomiya. What you get into right away is the fact that these 2 have a little interesting game going on inside their own heads that they're trying to play against each other, which is Love is War. Because they both have feelings for one another, but pretty much for the bulk of the show, they're trying to make the other confess to the other. Because, you know, it can't just be a simple just rom-com where it's just, you know, back and forth, will they, won't they kind of thing. Even though this is that, this one does it in such a unique style that just hooked me right away. Because I will say, when I watch anime, or just any shows in general, it's easy for me to be invested, but it's hard to get me hooked. There's always a level of investment if you're watching a show, if you are seeking it out, because that means you've seen it or you've heard about it or just like it looked interesting. So there's already that level of investment. But whether or not you get hooked is a completely different matter, in my opinion. Thankfully, this was one of those shows which right away, I should have known from that this was going to be one of my favorites. Within the first just couple minutes, immediately hooked. Just by the premise, it just mainly is, this show has such a style to it. It makes me want to read the manga, even all the way back to like the beginning and everything, not just going where the anime left off, just to see the differences, if there really is that many. But I think I will leave it as this show is going to be one that I watch anime only, because there's just such a magic to this show. The clips I'll show like in this video, like, it won't do it justice, because this is one of those shows where I'm sorry, but I'm not, that everything is perfect. Is this a perfect show? Probably not, but this is one of those ones where I just kind of just don't see like the flaws. Like right away, like I usually save the scores for the end, but I'm just gonna say I gave all 3 seasons a 10 out of 10. This show is perfect. Just the animation, the art style, the characters, the music, the writing, the voice acting. My god, the voice acting is amazing in this show. The story, the plot, the everything. There's no part in this show throughout 3 whole seasons where it lacks. Every episode is just a roller coaster. It's either a roller coaster or it's a merry-go-round or it's just a stroll through the park. It does not hold your hand. Some episodes will either be like ones where it's just all comedy or it's romance. There's not an episode you can skip. It builds onto everything. But onto building, I'd say let's talk about the characters. I figured let's go in order of appearance. First of which are our main 2. I would say it is Miyuki and Kaguya's show. I mean, obviously, like you could argue it's more Kaguya's show because literally her name's in the title. It's both of their stories. Though I will say this most recent season has delved a lot more into Kaguya's side of things. There's a good back and forth of the 2. But yes, Miyuki Shirogane is probably my new favorite romance main character, like male main character. These characters feel like high school characters for the most part, like aside from whenever Miyuki and Kaguya have like their Death Note intellectual battles between each other. Also, this is the best way to pitch this show. Imagine Death Note without the death and romance. That's pretty much this show. Miyuki, he has such just a style to him. He's not exactly a character that everyone can relate to, but you find yourself rooting for him because like he's literally in the show is portrayed as just top of the class, but it's one of those cases where he's not top of the class because of his family or anything. Like he's top of the class because he earned it. Like it's a nice flip of the coin between her two. Kaguya, who comes from a very rich, wealthy, lifelong heritage family, and Miyuki, who's pretty much just like his family is scraping the bottom of the barrel just to make ends meet, but he's still just top of everything, student council president and everything. I don't like saying student council president. I'm just gonna go with, you know, what Kaguya calls Miyuki throughout the entirety of the show, Kaicho. I'm also gonna say how Miyuki says Kaguya's name, Shinomiya. He says it very fast, Shinomiya. And on the opposite side of that, Kaguya. She is easily probably one of my new favorite female leads. When she first showed up, for sure, I was like, okay, I'm much more rooting for Miyuki and everything, but then as the show goes on, you find yourself split in the middle. It's like you're rooting for both of them and you're rooting for neither of them kind of thing. Like Kaguya just has everything that's just like, you know, she's wealthy, she's adorable, she's smart, but that's not what draws you to her in the end. It's the fact that she has all these and she has like that cold demeanor, but on the inside, she's just a girl. Like she doesn't know what she's doing. And that's what's part of like the amazing like just cuteness of this show is just neither of them have loved anyone before, and this is their first time, and it's like it's wholesome in every way possible. And I love when shows handle that right and handle it in a new way, because it's easy to make it wholesome and have it just be like the same kind of cookie cutter wholesome romance story. This one did it in such a way where it's both just heartwarming and funny and everything, and this show is so refreshing. I'm so glad I watched it. Like, you know, there's always that part of me that's like, oh, I wish I was watching it as it was airing and coming out, but it's like, realistically, I'm glad I didn't, because then it's like, there's more to watch. Like, yeah, you can argue then I could have savored it longer, but like, I'm all about those binges, man. I'm always just binging. As someone who binged all of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood in 3 days, I'm all about the binges, man. Back on characters. Though those two, I've praised them highly as the amazing main characters. Easily the 2 best side characters, but easily the ones that steal the show the most. Chika Fujiwara and Yu Ishigami are so good as characters. And that's the thing about this show, it tricks you. Like, you are introduced to these characters and you're like, all right, here's the cardboard cutouts, like these are the like tropey characters, but as you go forward, it's not the case. It's like these characters are so good. Is there even much I need to say about Chika? Before I watched this show, when I heard Kaguya-sama Love is War, Chika was all I would think about, because that's all I've really seen is just, you know, Chika reaction images and just, you know, scenes and whatnot. And of course, the amazing frame rated dance that she has at the end, I think like the 3rd or 4th episode. There was never a scene when Chika was on screen where I wasn't either just smiling or laughing. And that's again all down to the amazing style and animation, just also her voice actor. Chika's the prime example of what should work in anime. like what you need to get right. It's like it doesn't have to be like the comedy side of it, but at least just how to perfectly construct a character. Like when she's first introduced, like she's, you know, the one who's always coming in between Kaguya and Miyuki. You sort of sense a pattern there, but then as it goes on, you sort of get to a point where it's like, we need Chika right now. I am very thankful for once that I'm glad they didn't do a thing where it was like a love triangle, and then like once Ishigami come in, it didn't become like a love square. There is points in the show where it does kind of maybe set that up, but it thankfully doesn't go all the way with that. It just keeps it as these people are friends with these people, and like the only real romance we're concerned with is the main one that the show's about. And while there are other romance plots throughout the show, it feels natural. But speaking of other romance plots, we're going to talk about Ishigami, man. Again, another one of those characters who showed up early on, and it's just like, okay, I get the joke. Yeah, spoiler warning for this. The episode in season 2, I think it was episode 10, where it gave Ishigami's backstory, was one of the first times in this show I didn't necessarily cry, but it was just where I wasn't smiling. At least not until the end, obviously, but Ishigami's backstory, it was just such a different toned episode, but it didn't feel out of place. Like, it felt right to see, because his backstory was something that's been set up since he was first introduced at the start of the show all the way to that point. You got pieces of it, then you finally got to see it all play out in succession. That episode is still my favorite episode, just because, you know, I love a good constructed, like, dark backstory. It's just, that's one that just felt so real and felt so just painful. Like, I was gonna say, it's like you could have that episode on its own and it would still work, but now that I think about it, it's like, no, it wouldn't really, because you have the entire show, like where you have Ishigami and you hear just like all these little tidbits about like what happened back in his old school and everything, and then you get to that episode and you get to see it. It's like, oh man, it paints that character in a whole new light, and it's like, man, you get him, Ishigami. And then when it goes into his romance arc where he falls for, you know, their character, it's like you root for him so hard. And that's another thing about this show. It's one of the first few, I mean, to be fair, when it comes to shows in general, like there's always that part of me where it's like I'm always just like, you know, I know the show isn't about romance, but like, what about that romance side plot? Thankfully, this is one of those shows where it's like I could fully lean into that. Just like, oh, the romance, it always had those moments where it's just like, yes, go get him, man. Or it's just like, just, you got this, girl. Like, it's so much of that. It's like you feel when they succeed and you hurt when they fail. Like, you feel everything. Though most of the time in this show the fails are played off as jokes, it's still like you still feel it. And now the reason why I waited to do this video until the show was done, because of the final arc of season 3. Spoiler warning. No, heavy spoiler. Like, sure, you could have watched the video up to this point and not known too much and still, like, watch the show and be surprised. This is the point where if you have not seen everything all the way up to this point, click away. This is your last warning. I'm not joking. All right? You gone? Because, all right, for the real ones who are still here, words could not describe my emotions when I watched the 2-episode finale. Yeah, also, that was a thing. Friday was so emotional for me because that's when I recorded and, you know, put up and watched the last episode of season 4 of Date Live. And then right after that, I watched Love is War. And it was easily the most satisfying finale I've ever seen. There's been a few times where I've watched anime or shows in general where a show has ended, and even though I know there's more, there's still that part of me where it's just like, if it ended here, I would be okay with it. In this one, though, there was definitely that point where it's just like, yeah, if it ended here, I'd be okay, but like, no, there needs to be more. And it's good that right after that episode aired, they announced season 4. And the reason why I say all that is because of just one frame that just said it all, and it was the perfect frame to add on. That frame, that shot is everything. Like, this is everything. Like, though I may not have been watching the show from the very beginning, I still felt all of it. Like, when this shot happened, I was like a giddy teenager all over again. It was like peak My Hero hype for me for one frame. It's just that is, when the Crunchyroll Anime Awards happen this year, this better be nominated for shit, please. Like, they better win something. I hope it wins Best Romance of the Year. I don't care what's left to come out. At the very least, it deserves that award. Like, I'm sure fucking Attack on Titan's gonna sweep again. Well, Attack on Titan and fucking Demon Slayer are gonna sweep like all the other, like, you know, animation and whatnot. This better at least win Best Romance of the Year. I don't care. That is my vote. I am voting for Kaguya-sama Love is War Ultra Romantic. I just need to take a minute to breathe. Get some water. I knew I was going to be passionate about this review. Didn't think I would actually get this into it. Oh man. I mean, that's just this show in general. It's like I didn't expect to actually get this into it. I was just, man. This is easily my favorite romance comedy. It's one that I'll always come back to, and anytime I get recommended clips or anything on my YouTube, I'll watch it. I'll watch Chika saying mother for the like 8,000th time, or you know, watching Miyuko going Soran, Soran. And though this maybe should have been the first thing I talked about, I think it's more fitting to save it for last. The openings for this show. Why? Who decided that this show gets the 3 most banger openings ever? The first opening, the Love is War opening. Love is war, love is war, love is war. The second opening, Daddy Daddy Do. Daddy Daddy Do. And then the third opening, Giri Giri. It's a cardinal sin if you skip the opening in this show. It makes me just look forward so much to just every season, because it's like a new opening, a new banger. It's openings that I'll be listening to till the dawn of my death. There's a video I do want to do eventually where I kind of give my top 10 openings. Oh man, it's gonna be so hard to not have 3 of those spots be these 3. We'll see what happens when we get there. It's hard to pick a favorite, because I'm always just like, alright, let me listen to one. Maybe this one's my favorite. But it's like, all it takes is me listening to one of them once, and it's like, this one's my favorite. And then I listen to the other one, it's like, nope, this one's my favorite. It's like, I'll say musically, Daddy Daddy Do slightly. Love is War and Kiri Kiri, I say I hold on the same level, and then Daddy Daddy Do slightly higher than both of them. Visually though, I'd still say Love is War is my favorite in terms of visuals. What's your favorite of the 3? Is it Love is War, is it Daddy Daddy Do, or is it Kiri Kiri? Let me know. And then also the endings. The endings for me didn't hit as hard, but they were visually, I loved them. It took like the Love is War concept. It always put them in like the characters in that war situation. But easily still my favorite ending is the rap one, which I think everyone's like, it's so good. Like the animation in that and just like the music. Like I saw that out of context. Like before I ever watched the show, I thought it was like a trailer or like a music video or something, but then I saw it when it came on at the end of that episode. I was like, oh, that's what that's from. And then obviously the ending where Chika does her dance, like that's like, I'm sure you could break down this show and be like, here's the problems with it, but I don't see that many. Like it's just, I can't think of anything to critique about this show. Like, actually nothing. It's like, even like the fan servicey stuff that happens in it, it's funny. It's come to the point where most of the time when there's fan service in anime, I kind of roll my eyes a bit. In this one, it was always funny. It was done in such a unique way. But, oh man, I just can't wait for season 4. I can't wait just to see the rest of this show. I'm shooting myself in the foot by doing anime only, because I won't see that, but it's like, this is how I want to experience this show. Is through the anime, because it's so good. Screw it, like Kaguya-sama Love is War in its entirety. I'm 11 out of 10, like a million out of 10, like saying 10 out of 10, I feel like that's just limiting it. Break through those limits. I think that's enough talking about this show for now. I could go on forever. In all, if you haven't seen Kaguya-sama Love is War, if you just decided to watch this video and just accept spoilers, fuck you. But please watch it. Just watch it. It's so worth it. And if you have watched it, watch it again. And you know what I will talk about? Watch it in Japanese. Like, it's, the voice acting is amazing. The clips I've seen of the dub, the narrator, my god. It's the same guy who voices the dub voice of Whis from Super. He's so funny. Like, that's all I need to see of the dub. Like, I don't care about the rest of it, but like, I'll watch the out of context, like, narrator clips. Like, my favorite one still is
A is kissing, B is petting, and C indicates you've gotten some D.
That'll never not make me laugh. And this one.
Oh my gosh! It's happening! Everybody, it's happening! Oh, what's he gonna say?
Our festival committee has it under control, so there's no need for that.
Oh, come on!
But yeah, all in all, Kaguya-sama Love is War, friggin' phenomenal. I love when I discover a show that's just so amazing. It takes me back to when I discovered Fate Zero. So yeah, this is my first review of the week. There's gonna be a lot of stuff I have left to cover, because there was a lot of finales recently and just some stuff I want to talk about. As well as, if you're watching this video, I as long as a friend of mine are going to be heading over to AX 2022 down in LA soon. So if you're a fan of me and you see me there, which that would be funny, feel free to say hi. It's like, that would be cool if like I met like my first like fan. That'd be cool. But yeah, AX should be fun. It'll be my first like big anime con. So yeah, until next time, I'm Lancer. Thanks for watching. Love is war.